You're watching San Diego 6 News at 4.
They said to stay laid down on the floor. Don't move.
Paris raids. A neighbor takes cover as French authorities move in with explosives and deadly force against the suspected terrorist next door.
Syrian people, they are very, very good country, and they have a very good heart.
The refugee debate as governors around the country say no to Syrian refugees. We'll hear from one Syrian immigrant who just became an American today here in San Diego.
And it just makes it easy for criminals and people who are dangerously mentally ill and others to get firearms.
Talking gun control, his wife survived a violent gun assault. We talk with former astronaut Mark Kelly on that subject. Also find out how former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords is doing. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. I'm Jim Patton.
And I'm Nada Iranpour. French police say a raid this morning on a French apartment came right on time. They say suspects were about to move on some kind of operation.
Instead, 8 people were detained. 2 suspected terrorists were killed, and authorities are working to see if any of them were related to the suspected ringleader of Friday's terrorist attacks. Aaron McLaughlin has more from Paris.
French President François Hollande says his country is forced into battle with ISIS.
That we are at war.
Wednesday, the country went on the offensive. Belgian and French police and security agencies picked up on a telephone wiretap, leading them to an apartment in Saint-Denis, a northern Paris suburb not far from where the deadly stadium attack happened Friday. The wiretap suggested a relative of Abdelhamid Abaoud, the suspected Belgian ISIS ringleader of Friday's attacks, could be in the apartment. Heavily armed officers went in by the truckload for an hours-long operation. Inside, a woman in another apartment hid with her baby.
They said to stay laid down on the floor. Don't move and turn off all lights. And that's what I did. And I hid.
She says gunfire and explosions shook the building until officials announced the raid was over.
A police operation that was particularly dangerous and heavy has just ended. 2 people died, including a woman, by explosives.
Officials say they will use DNA analysis to determine who was killed. President Hollande says he will ask to extend France's state of emergency for 3 more months, giving authorities more powers in conducting searches and detentions.
And the bloodbath in Paris and today's raid to thwart another impending terrorist attack has led San Diegans to think about their safety at ordinary gathering spots.
This as locals head to sporting events and holiday gatherings this season. San Diego 6's Laura Kavanaugh has been looking into what steps local law enforcement's taking to ensure our safety. Joining us live in the newsroom with that, Laura.
Jim and Netta, the extremists in Paris, chose to attack multiple soft targets. They didn't try to blow up an embassy or a naval vessel. Instead, the killers went after people out having fun on a Friday night, targeting a concert hall, a cafe, and a stadium where a soccer match was being played. Now, while counterterrorism experts say coordinated assaults are less likely stateside because of our improved intelligence gathering since 9/11, they also note such attacks can never be ruled out. Now, we spoke with agents with the U.S. Border Patrol about the possibility of terrorists infiltrating our local borders and attacking local soft targets. Now, while they have not stepped up patrols, they tell us their 2,500 agents remain vigilant at the border checkpoints as they patrol some 60 land miles and 930 coastal miles. Now, agents are trained in the detection and apprehension of people who misrepresent themselves when they approach the border.
Our security is always heightened, but the U.S. Border Patrol has legacy immigration duties we always are enforced. We are tasked to enforce. But again, going back to our goals, is the #1 goal is to secure our nation's border, and that's to prevent terrorist weapons from coming into this country.
San Diego is a very unique area of operations for the Border Patrol compared to other sectors along the southwest border. Particularly challenging because San Diego is the only place where agents have to watch out for 3 main threats: ultralight aircraft incursions, maritime incursions, which includes panga boats. They also have to guard against underground tunnels as well. Now, officers with U.S. Customs and Border Protection tell us intelligence gathering and sharing is crucial, and everyone has a role. Community members are their front line, the eyes and ears that may help thwart a potential attack here in San Diego. We're live in the newsroom. Laura Kavanaugh, back to you.
Laura, thank you so much. The controversy surrounding the Syrian refugees heating up today. President Barack Obama mocked many Republicans for comments he called offensive and political posturing.
By the way, these are the same folks oftentimes who suggest that they're so tough that just talking to Putin or staring down ISIL or using some additional rhetoric somehow is going to solve the problems out there. But apparently they're scared of widows and orphans.
And that comment comes as at least 30 U.S. governors, mostly Republicans, have said that they will not allow Syrian refugees into their states. The president was speaking in Manila ahead of a summit focused on trade and climate issues. He blasted Texas Senator Ted Cruz, his proposal to allow Christian Syrian refugees into the U.S., but ban Muslims. Today, Cruz challenged the president directly.
Mr. President, if you want to insult me, you can do it overseas, you can do it in Turkey, you can do it in foreign countries. But I would encourage you, Mr. President, come back and insult me to my face. Let's have a debate on Syrian refugees right now. We can do it anywhere you want. I'd prefer it in the United States and not overseas where you're making the insults. It's easy to chop it.
Tomorrow, Congress is set to vote on a bill placing new restrictions on Syrian and Iraqi refugees. It would force a pause in the admission of refugees until the Obama administration puts a more vigorous screening process in place.
And as we know, the refugee crisis sparked great debate around the country. More than half of the nation's governors are now opposing letting any Syrian refugees into their states.
Final say, of course, on this immigration issue will fall on the federal government. San Diego 6's Carlos Correa live in downtown as more than 1,000 individuals have been sworn in as new United States citizens. Carlos.
And among the new United States citizens are a small group of individuals from Syria. Today they gathered as they start a new chapter in their life as they remember the victims of those attacks in Paris. A moment of silence to remember the lives lost during last week's terror attacks in Paris. 1,049 individuals, all representing 85 different countries, gathered to support one another. France. As they each take the oath of allegiance, becoming the newest citizens of the United States of America. Hadil Al-Bey is among a handful of people from Syria.
I'm so happy, I'm so excited.
But under that smile, Al-Bey can't help to think about her family and the people of Syria.
Syrian people, like, they are very, very good country, and, you know, they have, like, a very good heart. So, you know, they're not like, you know, what people they're talking about.
A total of 31 governors now oppose having Syrian refugees in their states. The announcement came after authorities revealed at least one of the suspects believed to be involved in the Paris terrorist attacks entered Europe among the current wave of Syrian refugees.
Against all enemies.
The state of California is not among those states.
To know that we're welcoming people from Syria that have been here for years and now earning citizenship, I think it speaks volumes of our country.
Only 1,500 refugees from Syria have been accepted into the U.S. since 2011. The Obama administration announced in September that 10,000 Syrians will be allowed entry next year. But that could all change.
I think it's important to remember what our nation has always been about. We're a country that has always received immigrants. In fact, it's the immigrants that have built this country, not just physically, but economically and culturally.
As for Al-Bey, she hopes the people of Syria will be allowed the same opportunities given to her.
They are very good people, and, you know, whenever, like, they know the truth, they're gonna let the Syrian, like, to go to all over the world.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Now, the countries with the most individuals being sworn in today included Mexico, the Philippines, and Iraq. Live in downtown, I'm Carlos Correa, San Diego 6 News.
Thank you, Carlos. We are learning more about the two Oceanside men who were among 6 people murdered in Texas while camping over the weekend. Nathan and Austin Camp were in Texas visiting their father. They were also celebrating Nathan's 24th birthday. The men lived in Oceanside with their mother and had attended Carlsbad High School, but had moved before graduation. They returned to Oceanside after their parents' separation. Nathan's fiancée, her 6-year-old son, and her father were killed. The motive for the murders is still unknown, though it's believed to involve a land dispute between the suspect and the boy's father, Thomas Camp, who was also killed.
No words can begin to sufficiently represent the victims and the honor each of them deserves for the joy and happiness that they brought to each life they touched.
One woman escaped the attack and hid in the woods before calling 911. The suspect, William Hudson, is a neighbor of Thomas Camp. Police say the suspect met the victims Saturday, even helped them free a vehicle that was stuck in the mud.
A La Mesa man is hoping to salvage something from the charred ruins of his mobile home after it was destroyed by a fire this morning. Investigators have yet to determine the cause of that fire that prompted the evacuation of a nearby elementary school. Neighbors said they heard explosions during the fire.
I turned around the corner, and sure enough, it was on fire, so I ran and got my fire extinguisher and tried to put out the few flames, but they were spreading too fast, too quickly, and so I just went around and started yelling, "Fire, fire, fire."
The fire broke out around 9:30 in the mobile home park on Oakland Road near Kiowa Drive. The owner was not home at the time. Children at nearby Maryland Avenue Elementary School were evacuated as a precaution, but were back in class by 11 o'clock. Firefighters were able to prevent the fire from spreading to nearby mobile homes, and no one was hurt. Scary moment this morning after someone thought they spotted a dangerous feline.
What was first believed to be a mountain lion that somehow became stuck inside a warehouse near Brownfield turned out to just be an ordinary house cat. Someone called for help around 7:40 this morning after they thought they spotted the animal on surveillance video inside the building belonging to GTM Discount General Stores in the 1400 block of Corporate Center Drive near Otay Mesa Road. The discovery forced the evacuation of that building and a call out to animal control officers with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. However, the second surveillance video showed a smaller, presumably less dangerous cat. The building was cleared by about 9 this morning.
Must have been the shadows.
Yeah, it looked scary.
It loomed
but not
large,
so
for sure. All right, straight ahead, a San Diego 6 exclusive. We sit down with retired astronaut, engineer, and United States Navy Captain Mark Kelly.
We talk gun control, Gabby Giffords, San Diego, and space. Plus, see what tourist attraction the two visited during their trip.
Plus, the battle over a popular UC San Diego venue continues. The future of the Shea Cafe is in the hands of a judge right now. Will it stay or be forced to go after the break?
And beating the heat despite a rather warm October, San Diegans managed to reduce their water use. Coming up, just how much we conserved.
Good afternoon, I'm meteorologist Sabrina Fine. I know you felt the temperatures today warming up. In fact, we have jumped about 3 degrees along the coast inland areas, 7 to 10 degrees. And that's nothing. Tomorrow, even warmer. We'll tell you how hot the mercury climbs when we return.
You're watching San Diego 6 News at 4 with Jim Patton, Netta Iranpour, and Chief Meteorologist Sabrina Fine.
I had the honor of being the last commander of Space Shuttle Endeavour. That was great, but it's unbelievable to launch in a rocket ship, to orbit the Earth, to dock with a place in orbit, big space station. It's a very exciting job.
And that is retired astronaut, engineer, and Navy Captain Mark Kelly speaking exclusively with San Diego 6 News just about an hour ago. He and former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords chose to vacation here in America's finest city, and while here, sat down with us. You'll remember Gabby won over the hearts of many after she survived a gunshot wound to the head.
Yeah, 18 others were shot. 7 people died that day in 2011 as Giffords spoke at a rally in Tucson. San Diego 6's Jenny Day joins us live in studio with what else the Navy captain had to say. Jenny.
Good afternoon. Mark Kelly and former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords were the keynote speakers at an annual meeting for Lowe's Coronado, but they spent the rest of their trip playing tourist. One of the highlights, stepping back on the USS Midway, a ship Kelly once called home for almost 3 years.
Certainly that this is a Navy town. I really enjoy coming here. I was never stationed here, but as a pilot in the Navy, I spent a little bit of time here in San Diego. And the other thing I like about it is the USS Gabrielle Giffords, LCS-10, is going to be home ported here. So hopefully Gabby and I will come more often then. That's probably about a year from now.
Mark Kelly says Gabby continues to work really hard on her recovery and that he continues to be impressed with her attitude daily. She still struggles to use her right arm and leg, but her speaking has really come a long way. One thing they'll never stop fighting for, stricter gun laws. After Gabby became the victim of homegrown terror, the Sandy Hook massacre, the Paris attacks, and sadly all the others, they continue to push for elected leaders to act.
In most states, you can go to a gun show or buy a gun over the internet without a background check. And it just makes it easy for criminals and people who are dangerously mentally ill and others to get firearms when they shouldn't. Hey, I'm a gun owner. I own a lot of guns. I'm a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. At the same time, I don't see why, when we have, relatively high rate of death from gun violence, why we can't make some really positive steps to make it harder for criminals to get guns. We should be able to do that.
Mark Kelly says that universal background checks have been adopted in 8 states, and their organization, Americans for Responsible Solutions, is working with dozens of others. Now, the final thing that I asked him about is his brother, Scott Kelly. He will be the first American to spend a full year in space. He still has 4.5 months left in space. The two are identical twins, so there are now 10 universities doing research on how people with the same genetic profiles respond to radically different environments. Overall, just really an incredible guy, and just so great to meet someone with such positivity and doing, both, doing so much for the country.
I guess the right stuff runs in the family there.
Yeah.
Couple of astronauts.
Power couple, you know?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, just to see them together, seeing Mark and Gabby together, do they just build strength on each other? They get it from each other?
Yeah, they radiate positivity, and just so thankful that that back in 2011, that really was not her time to go.
We could see from the pictures she looks to be happy and healthy, and of course we're very interested to know how she's doing. You were saying that they really protect her.
They do. They had said that that's why you didn't sadly get to hear from her, but she had a really long day and traveling. It's tough on her. She was shot in the head and is doing remarkably well. And actually this weekend she's going to be doing the Tour de Tucson, and she's going to bike 40 miles. So she just continues to impress so many people with her strength. But it is difficult for her to speak at times too.
Right. Well, glad that she is doing well, all things considered.
Yeah, you said it.
Jenny, thank you so
much.
You bet.
Well, an appeal hearing is happening right now involving a lawsuit filed by UC San Diego against the student-run Shea Cafe. The university wants the cafe shut down and filed the lawsuit after the student collective refused to leave the building. Last year, a judge ruled in favor of the university in its eviction lawsuit, but the students were able to get the eviction delayed. The Shea Cafe has been in business on campus for 35 years.
Well, despite the extreme heat last month, San Diego County's water use dropped 19% in the month of October. It is the 5th consecutive month of major regional water use reductions. From June to October, water use is down 26% compared to the same period in 2013. That beats the state's conservation goal of a 20% cut in the region set this past summer. Well, despite San Diego's conservation efforts, water prices are still going up. In an update to a story that we were following throughout yesterday's newscast, the city has approved a more than 16% water rate hike. Money will help to pay for necessary water infrastructure projects. Mayor Kevin Faulkner is among the supporters of the increase, but critics say the increase sends the wrong message and punishes those who have conserved water in the wake of a severe drought.
Over 25,000 to 28,000 people have had their water shut off here in San Diego, and they're raising the rates 41%. And if you look at all the people that have had their water shut off, it's just you feel that it's unacceptable.
I'm a resident, and of course, I don't like the idea of paying more, but it matters to me that that my family and that my kids are going to have a sustainable and reliable supply of water.
A 9.8% rate hike goes into effect in January, followed by a 6.4% increase in July. Residential customer whose monthly bill is now around $71 will see their bill go up to around $77 in that first phase.
Pretty quick changes, too, happening at the beginning of the year.
What do you mean?
With the rate hike. So we'll start to notice it very soon.
We're having a deep conversation here across the aisleway here.
Hey there, Jim.
Let me see your documents.
Sabrina, obviously we felt the change in the weather today. Felt nice,
you did?
I gotta say.
Oh,
I did, yes.
Very nice.
I loved it.
Yeah, temperatures are actually warming up into the afternoon, and this is going to be the pattern, at least for the first half of the weekend. A live look right now in downtown San Diego, 70 degrees. Notice how gorgeous the skies are, beautiful sunshine. If you have visitors in town, they're not going to want to go home. They're probably going to move all their stuff into your house because it's really going to feel a lot like summer, at least for the next 4 days. Temperatures out over toward La Mesa, 71 degrees there. Notice the dew point on into the low 40s. So it's really comfortable, although because it is dry, that means the temperatures are not going to really hold on tightly over the evening hours. They're going to be allowed to cool rather dramatically, and in the afternoon warm up fairly quickly. High pressure and control out over toward the Four Corners, and that's what's providing us with the offshore flow, and as a result we're seeing our temperatures warm. The other added benefit is up above, we also have this warm air mass in place. That is forecast to be right over Southern California by tomorrow and Friday, and thus temperatures then will peak. Starting off tonight at about 6 o'clock, the low to mid-60s for you along the coastline, mid-60s for you inland areas. Tomorrow morning, instead of waking up in the lower 50s, we have more like the mid-50s for you into Del Mar. Inland areas, instead of the low 40s, you have the mid to upper 40s for you. And then go ahead and dust off the patio furniture because temperatures warm up to 81 degrees out toward Poway. The mid-70s for the coastline. I think Friday will go ahead and beat that. Temperatures still, according to one model, think downtown San Diego will get to 80 degrees. Elsewhere, El Cajon going up to around 85. And remember, those temperatures will in fact peak on Friday. So a good spot to be maybe heading out into the water where their temperatures only 63 to 66. We'll take a look at your 7-day forecast, which shows rain in the area. Okay?
Want to hear about that? All right, thanks, Sabrina.
Coming up, it's the final chapter. The Hunger Games franchise coming to an end. Our Kelly Gillespie sits down with the cast in Berlin.
David Beckham, everybody. People Magazine's sexiest man alive.
It is official what David Beckham's family thinks about his latest title, Sexiest Man Alive.
You're watching San Diego 6 News at 4.
They're victims of this terrorism.
President Obama in Manila today for a summit focusing on trade and climate issues. He took some time to discuss the growing controversy surrounding the U.S.'s acceptance of Syrian refugees. The president has been mocking many Republican candidates who have said they will not allow refugees in their states. Tomorrow, Congress is set to vote on a bill placing new restrictions on Syrian and Iraqi refugees.
The refugee crisis has sparked great debate around the country. More than half of the nation's governors now opposing letting any Syrian refugees into their states.
Final say, of course, is on this immigration issue is going to fall on the federal government. San Diego 6's Carlos Correa live downtown as more than 1,000 individuals have been sworn in as new United States citizens today. Carlos.
Good afternoon, and among the new U.S. citizens includes a small number of individuals from Syria. Today they gathered to start a new chapter in their life as they remember the victims of the attacks in Paris. Now today's special ceremony started with a moment of silence. A total of 1,049 individuals, all representing 85 different countries, including that small group from Syria. They all gathered to support one another as they each take the oath of allegiance, becoming the newest citizens of the United States. A total of 31 governors now oppose having Syrian refugees in their states. The announcement came after authorities revealed at least one of the suspects believed to be involved in the Paris terrorist attacks entered Europe among the current wave of Syrian refugees. The state of California is not among those states.
I think it's important to remember what our nation has always been about. We're a country that has always received immigrants. In fact, it's the immigrants that have built this country, not just physically, but economically and culturally.
Only 1,500 Syrian refugees have been accepted into the U.S. since 2011. The Obama administration announced in September that 10,000 Syrians will be allowed entry next year, but that could all change. Now, the countries with the individuals being sworn in today during that special ceremony here in downtown San Diego included Mexico, the Philippines, and Iraq. Reporting live, I'm Carlos Correa, San Diego 6 News.
Thank you very much, Carlos. New today, a rally held to support a local youth football coach who's been suspended after a fight between parents at a game. This fight took place in the stands between parents from the Otay Ranch Broncos team and an Inland Empire team. It happened back in September. As a result, both teams were kicked out of the youth league. The teams were later placed in another league. The Broncos are one win away from making the playoffs, but now their head coach has received a letter from the league saying he's been suspended.
I was not involved in any fights, scrumpled, did not hit anyone, did not swing on anyone or anything, and I just want to know why am I being punished and not no one else.
Parents say it is unfair, coming just a few days from a game that could put them in the postseason. They also want a clear explanation about why he's being suspended over a fight involving people in the stands, not the kids on the field.
Coronado City Council is considering the feasibility and effectiveness of installing speed cameras on one of the most dangerous streets on the island. Officials are proposing the ticket issuing camera be placed between 3rd and 4th Streets from Orange Avenue to the bridge. Speeding, illegal turns, and blind spots are just some of the traffic safety issues the city has been trying to address for years. If the City Council gives the go-ahead next Tuesday, the public will get to weigh in on the matter in the coming months. The Salk Institute for Biological Studies in San Diego named its first female president. Elizabeth Blackburn, a biologist who won a Nobel Prize for her research into aging, will become the first woman to head the institute, known as a world leader in the study of aging, neuroscience, genetics, heart disease, and diabetes. 66-year-old replaces Dr. William Brody, who announced his retirement in the summer. Blackburn will join the Salk Institute from the University of California, San Francisco, where she is a professor in the Department of Biochemistry and Biophysics. She will begin her new role January 1st.
Brand new research showing everything we do on land eventually ends up in the ocean. Local scientists have discovered some 300 new chemicals in dolphin blubber, most of them man-made, long-lasting, and many of them never seen before. Pods of dolphins are easy to adore and frequently found along the California coast. As part of the natural cycle, as is the case with all animals, they're born, they live, they die. Those dolphin carcasses that wash ashore are now providing a world of information on what's really going on in the water.
They can be thought of as a sentinel species, like a canary in a coal mine.
As part of a project with the Scripps Center for Oceans and Human Health, researcher Nellie Shaw looks at dolphin blubber.
We're typically just taking a razor blade and cutting off a 2-gram sample.
On a cellular level.
We basically extract the blubber tissue using solvents, and then it's in liquid form that we put in these vials. Those chemicals then fly out of the column and smack into a detector, which gives us our data.
What Nellie and her team discovered has now opened up a sea of wonder, a world of questions, and perhaps some worry.
Each one of these dots is a potential chemical.
They were searching for what's called halogenated chemicals.
They're of particular concern because they don't break down as quickly as something like a pharmaceutical, and they accumulate up the food chains.
What they found was 327 halogenated chemicals in the dolphin tissue. Most of those were man-made, and 94 were completely unknown.
We expected to see a lot just because of the area that we were in and the historic contamination, but it was shocking to find that many unknown chemicals that we just had no idea were there.
The historic contamination Nellie is referring to is DDT dumping in the mid-1900s. Southern California chemical plants sent thousands of tons of toxic pesticide into the wastewater system. From the sewage to the ocean, it's still there. During this dolphin blubber study, many unknown chemicals were DDT related, suggesting the dumped DDT is now breaking down into new compounds a half-century later. There's no telling what those compounds are or their impact yet.
Realistically, we're exposed to very low levels of complex mixtures in our daily lives, and that adds up over time. Some are at very trace levels. Maybe we don't need to worry about those, but others were highly abundant, so those are the ones that we would then target.
All that information now in a database, a long list of chemicals that scientists need to explore to find out if there are any ill impacts.
These chemicals, they eventually end up in the oceans, which is the trash can of planet Earth.
Bradley Moore, a professor and researcher, explains that since all that we produce never leaves the planet, we need to be aware of what we're putting out there.
It eventually all comes right back at us. So I think we need to be a little more careful about how we use our oceans.
Finding out what we've done to the oceans is just the beginning. The long-term effects of those 300-plus chemicals on humans or sea life still unknown. All we know right now is they exist. But if any of those chemicals are deemed unsafe, there's agencies like the EPA, they'll determine if any regulation changes need to be made.
You say DDT, and that's a hot-button word for so many people, and to think that that dumped more than a half-century ago is now breaking down into new chemicals.
Completely new that they've never seen before. They don't even know what it is or what the impacts of it is on us or the animals.
All right. Great piece.
Thank you.
Good job. All right, let's send it over to Chief Meteorologist Sabrina Fine. Hi, Sabrina.
Hello to you guys. Hello to everyone at home as well on this fairly toasty day. We started out temperatures a little bit cool, seasonal, into the low 50s. But look what happened by the afternoon. We jumped about 5 degrees above the norm. That's nothing. Tomorrow we continue to see those temperatures rise. And in fact, the Climate Prediction Center is saying when you take a look at the next 6 to 10 days, we will continue to be close to 10 degrees above the average. Squeezed in the middle, though, is a cold front that will produce rain and some chillier air to move on down. We'll tell you the day it arrives coming up in just a bit, guys.
Sabrina, thank you. A new at 4, a happy ending for 2 puppies found in a dumpster last week. Workers at a Shell gas station in Otay Mesa discovered the puppies in a box inside the dumpster. At around 8 Thursday morning, the workers heard crying noises coming from inside the dumpster. It was so loud, they started getting complaints, and they checked that dumpster, and that's when they found the 2 female terrier mixes. One of the puppies was adopted this morning, and many people have expressed interest in the other one.
We haven't noticed any real significant problems with their health concern at this point. It's just a matter of keeping them fed and watered, and behaviorally they'll do a lot better in loving homes.
Animal control officer says the dogs have had a lot of care and should do fine in a loving home. And more good news for our four-legged friends. A 4-week-old puppy abandoned at San Diego's Grand Hyatt Hotel last month will be available for adoption starting tomorrow morning. Puppy was found wandering around the 10th floor of the hotel in early October. None of the hotel guests claimed the puppy. Employees at the hotel nicknamed the pup Hyatt Hound, and he stayed at the Hyatt for 2 days. He was eventually sent to the Rancho Coastal Humane Society. Shelter has selected its top 3 adoption candidates, and Hyatt Hound should have a permanent home by tomorrow.
We figured there'd be a long line of people waiting for him. While finding time fly by, you may be taking part in some of the top time wasters. Many of us do it. Find out what they are next in your Daily Dose.
Plus, protect yourself. The lawyer in blue jeans joins us live to talk about your rights as a consumer when it comes to returning items.
And doctors on phones, what they want phone makers to start doing to act a bit more, as they say, responsible. Daily Dose time. 3D printed prosthetics are now a reality, but medical professionals are taking it up a notch. Science fiction meets reality as Epibone, a medical startup, claims to be the world's first company that's growing living human bones for skeletal reconstruction. Epibone scientists measure the exact shape and size of the bone to create a 3D digital model. This allows a 3D printer to produce a scaffold or a mold to house the new bone. The next step is to extract adult stem cells from a sample of the patient's fat, and that grows into the 3D mold. So far, Epibone is only tested on pigs. The notion of printing human organs and tissues still very new. No one knows the long-term effects. Well, doctors have a message for phone makers. Include a bedtime mode. They say smartphones, tablets, e-readers should all have an automatic bedtime mode that stops them from disrupting people's sleep. The setting should filter out the blue light that delays the body clock and keeps people awake later into the evening. They say manufacturers need to show more responsibility. As it gets darker in the evening, the body starts to produce the sleep hormone melatonin, which helps people nod off. Certain wavelengths of light, though, like what's on your phone, can disrupt that system. And speaking of phones, ever feel like you're wasting too much time, not getting enough done? Well, you may be a culprit of 6 main time wasters. The first one would be social media. Yes, instead of the 90 minutes a day on average, limit your posting and perusing to once a day or once a week. Grooming, TV watching, searching for keys also made this list. During a lifetime, we spend nearly 4,000 hours looking for keys, so create a storage spot. We also can waste time organizing. That's because the average American home has about 300,000 items. So they suggest donate a bag of stuff each week. And multitasking, that was surprising, that also made the top 6. Now, experts say switching between tasks then translates into 40% loss in productivity and more errors. So focus on one thing at a time.
So why were you late? Well, I was donating stuff today. That's what they said to do, and it took up a lot of time. It was a long line.
I wasn't on social media, and I wasn't looking for my keys.
It's so weird to think like organizing means that you're like wasting your time, you know?
You just have so much stuff, so if you had less stuff, you wouldn't have to organize as much.
I thought the idea was that you organize the stuff you have so you're not wasting time with disorganized stuff.
Trying to find the stuff you need.
Always keep it organized.
Yeah.
Just have less stuff.
Okay. If you have a lot of stuff, well, I don't know what to say. Hopefully we have a lot of sunglasses because we are going to have a lot of sunshine out there, and as a result, temperatures are going to go up. Right now, live look for you in Ocean Beach. Look how beautiful the sun beginning to set. You can still see the flags waving in the light breeze for us. We're going to continue to deal with awesome temperatures and weather. I mean, this is really the spot to be. Across the nation, they're dealing with rain and tornadoes, and we have sunshine and above average temperatures. Getting right now to about 68 degrees throughout Otay, downtown San Diego, 70 degrees, and into Ramona, currently 71. When you look at the dew point, we are a little bit dry, but that just means take the chapstick with you, maybe even some hand lotion as you head out to work tomorrow. You can see the dew points in the 20s and 30s. The other thing the dew point does, though, is it really does not hold on to the heat very well. So it allows it to escape over the evening, thus we get colder, and in the afternoon it warms up extremely high as well. So we are going to see temperatures increase by about 5 degrees in the morning and into the afternoon hours as high pressure pretty much is in place. You can see a strong cold front making its way throughout the midsections of the country, headed right now out over toward Georgia. That's where they actually have a tornado watch posted, and in fact there have been 3 reports of tornadoes, 2 of those in the Florida Panhandle, 1 of those in Georgia, about 40 miles away from Atlanta, where there have been 4 houses that have been destroyed. It also looks like that storm is going to push about 2 inches of rain throughout portions of North Carolina. For us, we just have warm temperatures. 78 degrees along the coast. Beautiful sunshine. That is about 10 degrees warmer than average. Friday will be our hottest day at 79. There is a cold front in the forecast, though. That should arrive early Wednesday, dropping our temperatures to 65, increasing our winds with a 20% chance of rain. Inland areas, 86, a popular number, really, in fact, for the next 2 days. Mountain Community, 73 tomorrow. You're going to drop into the 50s with that front next week, and the desert, 79, jumping into the 80s by Friday. Let's look at your 7-day forecast. Jim, over to you.
All right, Sabrina, thank you so much. It is time now to protect yourself. Jeff Isaac, lawyer in blue jeans, joins us today. And today's question has to do with returning stuff. I purchased a sleeping bag from a local store. Told the salesman that I needed something to withstand extreme cold since I will use it for mountain climbing. Sleeping bag does not have the cold protection he promised. They are refusing to allow me to return it. Do I have rights? That comes from Dave.
Tons of rights. This is neat. I love this because we don't talk a lot about this, and we should really talk more about these kinds of things. In California, you have express warranties, you have implied warranties. And in this case, this really comes to what we call well, actually, it's a law that came into play. It's a Beverly Song Act. And what that is, or Song-Beverly Act. And what it does is it says that any product has to be fit for its ordinary purpose, and more specifically, in this case, fit for its specific purpose, or if the salesman or the saleswoman knows that that's what you want and they sell you something that's counter to that, then they're liable. They have to take it back, give your money back, or replace it with a product that does work. So you have different kinds of warranties in place. This is one.
Couple of things, though, on a case like this. One is that the sense of temperature is a very fungible thing, right, between people. Somebody might say, yeah, it worked for me. Somebody else might say, no, it didn't work for me. Does that matter?
Yeah, that's a great comment. I would say that sleeping bags, blankets, certain kinds of jackets would be, some are set for very, very cold temperature, and they have the fabric for that. Obviously, this didn't have that. But yes, if it was a subjective issue, then it becomes a little more controversial.
The other thing is that a sleeping bag, I think, would be considered a personal item, where they would go, well, look, you used it, and how are we going to sell it now that you've slept in it?
Yeah, well, you say, look.
Not you in particular.
No, I know. I get that.
I talk with the hands. The Italian thing.
The Italian thing. What you say is, coming back at them, is, look, you sold me the wrong product. How would I know until I tested it? That's not a good excuse. They can't use that against you. So this is a direct violation of an implied warranty in California. You have legal rights, and in this case, I don't remember the gentleman's name, but
Dave.
Dave,
yeah.
Go for it. Implied warranty.
If the store puts up its own sign that says, in some stores you'll see this, you buy it, you've got it. No returns.
No, can't do it.
Okay.
Can't do it. Now, there's certain things that don't come under a warranty, like food and certain, like used goods. That's different. But this is ostensibly is a new sleeping bag. You can't just put a sign up saying that we're not going to be liable to California law. Sorry, it doesn't work. So, Dave, go for it. Seriously, go to the manager. Quote me if you want. I'll even send you the right credentials.
Hopefully he recorded this. He can just bring it right in and say, look, just
Bingo.
Listen to this. Done.
And if they
Give
don't
me my
do
money.
it, then, yeah, go after them. Small claims.
All right, Jeff. Good to talk to you as always. And if you have a question for Jeff, you can email him at lawyer.inbluejeans@gmail.com. Still ahead, a dumped bride's comeback. What this woman did to her wedding dress after her fiancé called it off just before the big day.
Coming up tomorrow on San Diego 6 News in the Morning.
Shop small this holiday season. Unique local products that you can buy on Small Business Saturday.
And looking to trim the fat this Thanksgiving, the chef is cooking up delicious, healthy sides you can serve along with that turkey.
And we have one last Valley View Casino and Hotel hidden jackpot scavenger hunt. Watch for the clues. You could win $1,000.
That's tomorrow from 5 until 9.
We want to get straight to breaking news we're following right now out of Palomar. That's where we just got word a helicopter has crashed at Palomar Airport. 2 people have been pronounced dead at the scene.
Yeah, these are live pictures here from Sky 6. You can see the emergency vehicles there. Not sure what that liquid appears to be on the roadway. There are more people. It hasn't been determined whether there are more people inside that chopper. As we said, at least 2 people have been killed. Airport has been temporarily shut down, and we do have a crew en route to the scene, and we'll bring you more information on San Diego 6 News tonight at 10. All right, time now to update you on some of the other headlines we are following for you.
French police arrest 8 people and kill 2 who were believed to be attempting another terrorist attack. Police are trying to figure out if they were involved in last Friday's attacks. Belgian and French police and security agencies picked up on a telephone wiretap leading them to an apartment in Saint-Denis, a northern Paris suburb, not far from where the deadly stadium attack happened on Friday.
And an appeal hearing just wrapped up between UC San Diego and the student-run Chez Cafe. The university is suing to have the cafe shut down, but lawyers on both sides say it has turned into a waiting game. There was no resolution or decision today. A judge will revisit the issue in 30 days. The school originally filed a lawsuit after the student collective refused to leave the building. Last year, a judge ruled in favor of the university in its eviction lawsuit, but the students were able to get the eviction delayed.
Former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords and her husband, retired astronaut Mark Kelly, made a stop in Coronado today. They gave San Diego 6 News an exclusive interview. Mark Kelly says Gabby continues to work really hard on her recovery, and he continues to be impressed with her attitude every day. The couple also talked about their fight for time.
Good afternoon, John Carroll in the San Diego 6 newsroom. As we reported yesterday, the San Diego City Council voted to raise water rates. Well, that set off former city councilman and now radio host Carl DeMaio. We'll hear why he says 3 Republicans on the council broke promises when they voted for the hike, and we'll have responses from those council members. It's all tonight on San Diego 6 News at 10.
Thank you, John. Florida woman decided to destroy her wedding dress after her fiancé called it off just before the big day.
After a 2-year engagement, Kylie Manilock planned to put on this very dress and walk down the aisle. That's until her fiancé sent her a text message. That's how he said he didn't want to marry her. So she was devastated for a few days. Then she and her bridesmaids decided to do this. Yes, they destroyed their dresses during a color fun fest in Tampa. The jilted bride says she actually is thankful to the man that left her because he spared her future heartaches.
That's a good way to look at it.
That is.
And you wouldn't have been able to have that great color party.
I guess she has, instead of having like your wedding pictures that you like put all over your house, she'll have these pictures.
The dumped pictures.
Yeah, and they're probably better because she probably had like the time of her life with her friends.
I agree. All the pluses there.
Yeah.
All right, Community's up next. We'll see you at 10.
Bye-bye.
See you later.